call to order for the February 19th council meeting. Pledge allegiance. Lacey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any preliminary announcements? Before we go to the roll call, why Rob Paulson's not here, his mother's in the ICU unit at Jefferson Hospital. And so keep her in your prayers. Okay, Becky, roll call.
Councilman Falls? Councilman Fallon?
Here.
Councilman Ondo?
Here.
Councilman Petruzzi?
Here.
Councilman Stein?
Here.
Vice President Rodadian?
Here.
President Engel?
Here. Okay. Public speakers. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes, must avoid references to personalities, personnel-related issues. First speaker, Colleen Theodore.
Thank you for the chance to speak to you. I was surprised to learn that my borough, you do not make a donation to MAPS. I personally value the fact that there's an ambulance service in my community ready to help me, my children, my husband, my family, and my neighbors. And to imagine that our surrounding boroughs are able to find those resources to do that, and we've not been able to do that, and that even in years when we say we will do it, we're inconsistent on whether or not that money will be given. So I would like to ask council to reconsider that and make a contribution to MAPS that represents our commitment that MAPS should be here. $5,000 isn't enough. I don't know what the right amount is, but I believe that we should value. And when they were gone, if they were to leave, what would we say? It's one of the pieces of being a resident in Munhall that makes this be a great community. So that's my first comment. Second is, I was surprised to learn, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't think that we actually
Let her
said we
finish.
wouldn't do
Let
it.
her finish.
I don't want to lose my minutes there.
Right.
So, secondly, I was surprised that you are not accepting comments during the work session. I understand the time limit. I have sat in an elected official seat. I've listened to endless conversation. However, at the work session is when you review your agenda. So isn't that the time frame where you're thinking about, well, what your vote will look like? And how will you get input from your residents between then and now? This would suggest that anything you're ready to vote on, you don't really know how you're going to vote until you hear from someone tonight, 3 minutes before you vote. I find that to be irresponsible. 3 minutes is not asking for much during the work session and at this meeting as well. And then lastly, I'd just like to thank the three board members who did follow up on my request when I said, please respond to my email. I sent an email asking these questions, and only 3 had the time to call or email me a response. So again, the rest of you don't have my input on these topics. So maybe you're getting your input somewhere else, but I would have expected at least that return courtesy phone call as a resident and taxpayer. So those are my comments. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. 12 seconds left.
Mrs. Fedor, did you contact everybody that was
I
on
did.
the? Because I'll tell you right now, I did not get any kind of.
Maybe we should ask is that your position as Secretary of the Borough? It was, the way I'm told to contact you is to send an email to the info @ I sent it, got a note that it was received and would be distributed to every board member. Those who did call or send me a note said they got that information and were replying to that. So I would have assumed all of you received that.
I never got one.
I received one, and I did call you. I'm not a board member. I'm not a board member, just so you know.
Sorry, I forgot
I
to
did call
mention.
you.
So 4 people I spoke to, 3 board members, and Mayor. Thank you.
I will check this, if they didn't all receive it, it's my fault.
I will check to make sure that, I thought I forwarded your emails on to everybody, but
I think it's important, if you want us to reach you, I don't know how else other than to come talk to you at your home. Unfortunately, I could. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, you may want to check your email and make sure it didn't go into spam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael Aldridge.
Thank you. Michael Aldridge, and I didn't put Ms. Colleen up to say anything. I'm president of MAPS Ambulance Service, and again, I'm just up to, hopefully you got the information you asked for,
Right.
okay? And I come to ask, could we get the check that was due for 2019, which would be $7,500? You gave us $2,500 at the end of 2018, and then you gave us $5,000 in 2019, so that made the $7,500 that was in the budget for 2018. So can we receive the $7,500 we need that was in your budget for 2019? And then did you reconsider reopening your 2020 budget, and did you come up with anything? What I did want to know, so I won't mess with your 30 minutes. The reason why I said important, how many of you all know where Clareton's at? Everyone knows where Clareton? Yes? Okay. Clareton does not have one bank, do not have one grocery store, do not have a retail business district. Just in the past 2 years, they did get a gas station down on State Street Speedway. Clareton's ambulance service folded several years ago. But they paid Jefferson $30,000. A truck has to come from Jefferson Borough into Clareton to service Clareton. And that's what we're trying to avoid, and I already told you, and you check yourself, Baldwin charges $92,000 to cover West Mifflin. So we're not trying to get anywhere near that. We're just trying to stay and survive, and why we keep asking, you know, so the things are just getting ridiculously expensive. And so that's why we're constantly coming to you and asking, you know, for your assistance. Homestead has made a commitment. We are in your budget. I was at their council meeting last Thursday. I was at West Homestead last Tuesday, and when they received our request, they had already closed their budget, but they're going to open up and do something and send us something. You know, so we're trying to just get all the boroughs on board without going through and doing, like you said, like the library, get on the ballot. Trying not to. The taxes are bad enough and high enough. So we're just asking, you know, sending out the appeal. If you want an EMS service, it's got to be supported or. Okay?
I don't think we have to open a budget to make a donation. Do we?
No,
I didn't think so.
no. We just have to make sure we can find the money for it.
Can you let Jason look into it?
Of course.
Okay, and do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
No.
Okay, because I just want to understand how it works. So, God forbid, let's say MAPS went defunct. If my son needed an ambulance and I called 911, county dispatch would be able to get an ambulance from somewhere else?
Our mutual aid right now is Baldwin. If MAPS did not exist, you would not have an ambulance service. And then Baldwin would come in and solicit the borough, and they're not coming in for those $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. They got 6 managers that make over $100,000 a year. So they wouldn't dream of coming into MAPS for what we do here. And I mean, they wouldn't dream of coming into Munhall and do what we do for the amount of money that we do it for. And they run emergencies only. They don't do transports. So,
So
they're high scale, they're big time.
So EMS service doesn't necessarily abide by the same code of ethics is like doctors do, that if you walked into a hospital and were bleeding out, they would have to treat you. I mean, service doesn't have to follow the same guideline, like if they got called, no, I'm not coming.
Well, if, you said if we didn't exist. If
Right,
we didn't
yeah.
exist, then you wouldn't have an ambulance service.
Right.
You would have to hire one.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so there's no provision, I guess, that the 911 county service has where they just start trying, well, let's try that one, nope, let's try that one, nope. They can't call somebody else that comes make a visit here?
No, they'd come over and try to meet with you and, okay, Duquesne, let's use Duquesne. Their ambulance service went under the council, I would imagine, or the mayor of Duquesne went over and solicited McKeesport, and McKeesport runs Duquesne. We backed them up. We backed Baldwin up. We backed Braddock up, Priority One. So we're all trying to help one another and mutual aid, but if you didn't have a service at all, you would have to solicit one of them, hire them to take care of your borough.
I'm just saying, if, like you don't exist, and, we don't hire nobody, we don't solicit no other ambulance service, and someone gets sick and they call 911, the county would have to send somebody over.
They don't have to. If you read the state law and ask your solicitor, if you want
I'm just
safety
bringing up,
in your
you know, I'm
community,
not saying that we're-
fire, and you got an excellent fire department, and I had to wait across the street, they were out running already tonight. You have an excellent police department, you have to fund those. If you want an EMS service, you have to fund it. That is the state law. If you want an EMS service, you have to fund it. If you don't have one, I have to find out what Sewickley's doing. I mean, they lost their service, Carnegie lost theirs, then someone has to go out there and hustle and see, you know, if they weren't so far, I'd say, MAPS, let's go and take one of them communities, but they're too far away. But someone would go out and hustle that job, just like Pass Wall, that ambulance service went under. Remember a couple years ago? And they were without an ambulance service and they had to come from Monroeville to service them. You know, because they went down there and said, hey, we'll service you.
Real quick question.
Yes, sir.
You said about transport and then emergencies. Baldwin does nothing but emergencies
Yes.
compared to. Would you be saving any money by not transporting and just doing emergencies?
That's how we survive. If we stopped doing transports, we'd be out of business.
Oh, okay.
We'd been out of business.
You do a lot of transport.
We had to go out and solicit. We didn't do nursing. When we first started, back in May of '96, all we took care of was Munhall, West Homestead, and Whitaker. Whitaker dropped out and joined with West Mifflin. Homestead's ambulance service, so all we was taking care of was Munhall and West Homestead. Homestead went under, and Peg Pedersen and myself went down and spoke with them, and they asked us to take over Homestead. So that's how we became Munhall, Homestead, and West Homestead. So if you lost your ambulance service, you'd go back into it yourself, I guess, and then it's not like it used to be. It was all volunteers, if you know, back then, and it was great. It was great volunteers, but nobody can live by volunteering anymore.
I know money's tight for a lot of people, myself included, but you know, I've been a member with MAPS, me and my wife, for years. And that's very cheap.
And I hope you never use it, you know, but just go pay the subscription. And what people need to know, what your subscription gets you is free lift assist. That means you fall, you need to get back up and get up the stairs or something.
What I'm saying is we only pay $50 for me and my wife.
Correct.
Why couldn't I? My thing is, that's pretty cheap. Why don't you make it $100?
You know how many people subscribe to Munhall? Less than 15%.
I am.
I can make it 1,000, but if
I understand what you're
saying.
Make it a couple bucks more. I just don't, I think it's very cheap for what you get.
It is. It is.
People still.
We're not trying to get rich, but we got a 32-man
Right.
union shop. We just did union negotiations, as I told you last month, and completed that. We keep updated equipment, you know, we have to replace heart monitors every so many years, so ours have just been replaced about 2 years ago. And we try to update the cots. They're 35. The one reason why your fire department works you behind off is someone that's extremely overweight,
I know you're talking about.
okay? So you have to call in Murraysville came in the other night, didn't they?
No, I know
And
with
City
that,
of Pittsburgh.
with the fire department.
You know what a bariatric cot cost? $60,000.
Well, he broke one.
Maps couldn't, he broke our $35,000 cot. And we, thank God, you know, we got it fixed, we got it repaired. But a bariatric cot that'll hold up to 1,000 pounds and be able to move, who's gonna lift it? Okay, so it's gonna have to lift itself.
Right.
It's $60,000. Ours are $35,000 a piece that we use. The wheelchair that had taken a person up the steps and back down was $25,000. So we have 2 wheelchairs and we have 3 of those $35,000 cots. We have the state-of-the-art. For the families here, we have the state-of-the-art equipment. We keep it up to date. That's what I do, purchase the equipment. And we have well-trained paramedics and EMTs. Mr. Mayor, did you come over and ask? And I hope all the folks come out. What's the date, Mayor?
I'll announce it in a minute.
You're gonna announce it, sir?
I have.
Okay, I'll hush up then.
Thank you.
You know.
Don't feel my thumb.
Okay, I won't. But, we're here for the community.
Okay.
You know, to do anything that we can for training or anything else, we never take care of that part. But we love being here, we wanna be here, and,
Let Jason look at it.
I have nothing against giving you a donation of some sort. But how long is this gonna last though? I mean, everything keeps going up and up and up. And I know we're getting short on money too when it comes down to doing things.
you ask, you're not giving me a donation.
Exactly.
You're giving it to these folks. You're not giving it to me. You know how much I make?
Well, I was just.
You know how much I make as a board member, as a president? I get a dinner at Christmas time.
That's just a figure of speech.
Oh, okay, but just to let you know, the board members don't get 1 red cent, and we meet
I
every
understand
3
that, I
months.
understand that.
And like I said, we just make sure that this community is covered. You know, up-to-date automobiles, vehicles, up-to-date equipment, and the men and the women are well-trained. Paramedics and EMTs, I put them up against anybody and anywhere. They're excellent. And if you ever have problems with them, all you have to do is call and I solve the problem.
No, I was just referring to how long.
But how long is this gonna go on?
How long is it gonna be before
As
we
long as you want an ambulance
Or
service.
we have to raise taxes or bring some income in.
It goes on as long as you want an ambulance service. Trucks, when it first started, trucks were under 100,000, now they're 200,000. Whatever. And then 5 years later, they're only worth about 5,000, 6,000 to get rid of.
No, I know the fire departments have got the same situation.
They have to, and I wouldn't want to have to buy one of those. They look like they started at 500,000.
You don't get much for 500,000 anymore.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I just don't imagine how it's going to end, but if you want the services, that you just have to find it out.
Okay, let Jason.
Yeah, I appreciate the information you gave me.
All right,
It
thank
gives me
you.
more to
Thank you
think
for
about.
listening.
Yes.
And thank you, Ms. Colleen.
Maureen Fry. Name, address, 2 Becker.
Maureen Fry, 124, West Virginia Avenue, on PA. I have 3 questions to ask in relation to the money in the borough. The reason I'm asking is because we haven't had a finance meeting for 6 months. And according to the paper that's called Board and Commissions Report, the very first statement is Administration and Finance Committee will meet as needed. So that means if we as taxpayers want to know anything, we're gonna have to ask at the meeting to find out where the money is or where it's going. My first question is, last year, we paid $28,000 for a grant writer. I'd love to know what did we get from the grant writer? How much was it, and in what account did that money go?
241,000 we got for Parks and Recreation. We have 4 years to use it. So we're in the planning stages of that. That's a matching grant, which means we'll have to come up with 241,000. We got another grant for recycling that we're working through right now. Well, remember what that was, like 250? 230,000 we got for recycling. We're working for that. Our match is 15%. We got $5,000 roughly for bulletproof vests. And they're working on a $1 million grant as well at this time. And Colin, you want to talk about the small water grant?
Yeah, we submitted close to $300,000, over $300,000 for Pennsylvania small water and sewer grant within the last month and a half.
Great, thank you all. My second question is in regard to 1860 West Street. Would you tell me how much have we already put into that building so far?
Like 800,000. That's since 2016.
Have we received the loan that we applied for to fix that building?
We're signing paperwork on Tuesday.
Say it again.
We're signing paperwork on Tuesday.
Sign paperwork on Tuesday.
And that's a bond issue, not another.
Oh, thank you. Can you tell me what account will that money go into?
Yes, there's be a payee account for the building. It will go into an account with the U.S. Bank. And then the 800, our reimbursement amount will go right into our general fund.
The $235,000 that has to be paid by June 30th, right?
Now, the 800,000 that we already spent will be reimbursed into the general account.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you that. So how much do we have? We don't have the 800,000 in yet, but how much do we have in the general fund right now?
$1,121,265.08.
But 1 million of that, is that from the TAN loan that we
Correct.
applied for?
Correct.
Okay, so in reality, we have like 131,000, am I right?
Well, we actually have $1,121,265.08.
Okay, regarding the TAN loan, the tax anticipation note, did you say that we did get that January
Right.
21st?
Mm-hmm.
What account is that in, the general fund?
No, we put it in the surplus account, and we move from the surplus account to the general fund as needed.
What have we used that money for already?
Payroll, and all the other bills that we have in the borough.
None of that money has been towards Willis.
Well, we have payments to make yet.
So some of that money did go towards Willis.
Sure.
How much is still in the TAN account?
We have $1,121,265.08
I thought that's the amount you just told me was in the
borough.
general fund.
No, in the borough.
Would you explain the difference between those two funds?
Yeah, when I give the amount of money that we have on a monthly basis, it's what we have in the whole borough, not just the general fund.
Okay, would you just clarify for me one thing? You're telling me in the TAN account, we have $1,121,265.08. And in the general fund, we have $1,131,265. So are you telling me that in reality, between those two funds, we have two?
We don't have a TAN account. There's not a TAN account. we got a tax anticipation note,
Right.
okay? You know what that is? It's money that we got to get us until, right?
Until taxes.
So we get that money, it comes into our account. We can put that in any account we want. There's no TAN account. There's a surplus account that we chose to put it in, and Becky will transfer the money into the general fund as needed.
Okay. Would you tell me the status of what's going on over there at 1860 West Street?
Colin, you want
Should we give an update now?
to, let's give the update of your report.
We discussed last meeting, there was additional asbestos fireproofing, that has been removed.
Is that $40,000?
$40,000.
Yes. How much was that for?
Total, $180,000.
Don't laugh, I thought you said it was going to be 40,000, around 40,000. That's what
No,
I thought.
the
40,000.
contractor's original estimate was around $65,000 or $70,000 per floor. We put them on time and materials, so they came in under that.
Okay, what else is
But it-
going on?
They're done, so we recommended substantial completion payment. We're still holding back 5%, plus another $12,000 payment, which was authorized as part of the only other change order on the job, which is to remove some rooftop mechanical units. They have not started that work yet. That is going to be planned and scheduled in the months to come.
That was nowhere mentioned, or you didn't think about that whenever we were all talking about what would have to be done over there to remove those? Or was that in your plans?
It
It was
was,
always in the plans to remove all that stuff. All these things are the things that are being done. Sometimes it changes the way you're gonna do it. Instead of taking it off and putting the new ones in, when we're demoing the building, it'd be easier to take it off now. So it was a change order to be able to get this stuff done.
yeah, it's,
There was always stuff that needed to be done. It's just what part of the
Who's gonna
process
do
was
what?
gonna do it.
we moved it to this contract because they have other work associated with the roof that they have to come back and complete. So, yeah, with the exception of the change order for the fireproofing, everything else went as planned, went well. Passed all the inspections with the county, it's been cleared. We're in the process of getting all that paperwork in. And by all accounts, everything is going smoothly, so.
Do you have an anticipated date of moving in? When work will all be done?
Well, there is no plan at this point to move in, or the architect is working on plans that still has to be, approved by this council, bid, award bid, and then, contract. That's months away from happening if that's what this council decides.
Okay,
So this current contract that's going on right now is just demolition and asbestos removal.
okay.
So the building is gutted and all the asbestos is gone.
My last comment is, last week when you mentioned at the workshop about the summer help for this summer, I brought up the same issue last year when it was brought up. I truly do feel that needs to be advertised in the Valley Near, listing the qualifications for anybody who's interested in working. They should be a full-time Steel Valley resident. They also should know what the pay is. They also should know what is being asked of them to do. That means it would be open to anybody 16 years old or older. And it would make it fair for all students in Steel Valley, boys and girls alike, not just selected few. I did check my notes, and last year you hired 9 boys at $8.50. So if there's a 20% cut in the budget, I would venture to say we'd be hiring 4 or 5 boys or girls at $8.50. no increase because we never seem to have money for anything. Thank you.
Ms. Fry, I wanted to respond to something you said, just because I want to at least explain to you about the finance meeting. So,
Please.
the purpose of any committee meeting, be it finance, public works, public safety, light, is to have a committee get together, discuss, come up with proposals that they then present to council to think about at the workshop meeting, and then if there's something to take action on, they use their information to take action on and make a decision. Over 3 years ago, when I became finance chair, I wasn't familiar with the position, what the expectation and goals of it were. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna come in and maintain the status quo until I get a better understanding of how things work. Over time, I think it became very clear to me that most of the meetings were just, I would ask Joe, I said, do you have anything to discuss? No. Anything that came up today? No. But we met because the meetings were on a calendar. And after a while, I'm like, wait a minute, no one else meets in any recurrent periodicity. Not that that's the reason to do it, but as I understand those meetings are to have those subcommittees caucus and discuss things to present to council. The purpose of those meetings is to have them as needed, as you pointed out with that document you found. So that's why they haven't happened. There's nothing that the finance committee has, no emergent need. Now, if something came up, like he called me tomorrow and said, we just got a bill in the mail from the state, we didn't anticipate it, I don't know where his money's coming from, I would ask, all right, let's start Monday morning, sometime where we could put that meeting on the calendar, because I would not want, let's have a meeting tonight. I don't believe that's fair, because they're open to the public. I'd say, all right, 2 days, 3 days from now, let's schedule a meeting, get the finance committee, let's start discussing this and brainstorming. So there hasn't been any issue that's presented itself like that, because everything else that's been talked about, the funding for that building, the funding for this building, the TAN, those are all things that have been discussed publicly in our workshop and our council meetings. There hasn't been anything that the committee's gone off and discussed privately without public knowledge. That's why we haven't had those meetings, because I finally feel comfortable and I understand, having been in this position over 3 years, that's why there aren't any other meetings. If we have a personnel issue, I would expect Public Works Committee to get together to discuss that, as is likely gonna happen when we are hiring summer help. I'm expecting that committee to meet, to discuss, and come to us with their recommendations of who they wanna hire, how they wanna do it, and so forth. Same thing with the Blight Committee. If they wanted to come up with a proposal of what can we do with all the abandoned properties not here, I'd expect that committee to meet, come up with some proposals and bring them to council. So it's not that I'm looking to avoid anything. I've met, easily, the finance committee's met more than any other committee meeting over all my time on council. But I finally understand what the purpose of it is, and I just want to align that committee with how the other committees are run. That's why.
Thank you for explaining that. I will say though, Mr. Rawls knows that perhaps in the beginning of your 3 years, there were nobody in attendance. In the last 8 months, there have been people there in attendance, and we have asked a couple questions. I would think that would show that some people are interested. And I realize you talk with Mr. Rawls, or you always say this daily. I think you need to talk with us once a month to let us know. So I don't have to come here and ask all these questions. I would have some answers already. And if other people would like to ask those questions, fine. But you know as well as I do, there have been, let's say 5 of us who have consistently come to the finance meeting with questions. And I would greatly appreciate if you would go back to having them monthly on the calendar. Because we, as taxpayers, I will say the word, transparency. We just want to know what's happening. There's a lot of money going through our borough. We just want to know where it is and what account it's in and where it's being spent. I don't think that's asking any too much.
So then the purpose of those meetings, as you described them, would be basically just a town hall for people to come ask me questions.
No.
Because we wouldn't really be discussing and game planning anything, because we'd have nothing to discuss.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you put on the discussion that night the status of the grant writer, the status of the TAN loan, the status of the $10 million that I said bond issue? I think these are important figures that we should know about.
So like I
And
said,
I
so it's,
realize you know,
Right.
and Mr. Varhola knows, I'd love to know out of, let's say, 20 people here, I'd love to know how many of these people know anything about that. That's all we're asking,
well,
is
so then perhaps a more
every month.
fair compromise would be getting a finance report along with all the manager's report, the public works report, that I would give something along those lines at these meetings.
Or you could have a meeting and actually have some input. As Colleen mentioned, when we're not allowed to speak at the workshop, and then we come here, you've already met for a week, you probably already have your ideas made up, and you're ready to vote on them. You didn't have any input unless one of us stand up and ask you these questions tonight. You know.
I could say something about that finance meeting. We would have a meeting in January, you know, we would have met on, we're gonna show you the bills that we paid.
I would love it. How many people would like it? Am I the only person? Please look
Mrs.
around.
Ondo, I see you raising your hand, you know you get it every week,
No, he gets it every week, my dear, not
and
me.
he told me you check your emails, you check emails for him.
Goes to him, not me.
Jason, would the MAPS request require a finance meeting?
Yeah.
If it was something that we were looking to take action on, like I would think it would, if we wanted to act, if I just get, like, what I'd probably do is to start with, discuss it with Joe to say,
Okay.
Is there any way we
wonder
could
if that's
find
only
something?
10,000 or 20,000?
yeah,
it was,
yeah, because,
enough
well,
for me.
there's something else it might be, is it in your report? No, but,
It's easier to hoard money at the beginning of the year rather than dump it all out to the community. We have to watch what we do. After the first quarter, we're gonna look to see where we are year to date. What do we need to do? We had discussions with Bob. Bob, we can't just fix this or that just because. We have to look at other options. When we need to spend money, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, instead of just doing it, we may have to bring it to the finance committee to make sure this is the best way we can do it. Pat, we have him all the time with Pat. This is what we're looking to do. This is what we want to do. Where is it? For us to go out and spend money on everything in this borough that people want something from us that is needed right now is not, it's irresponsible. The right thing to do is go through the year, see where we are after 6 months, after 9 months. Are we trending where we need to be? What are we looking for the fourth quarter? And then say, we got this surplus of money. Now we can go out there, we can give something to MAPS. We can give this to this. We can go and maybe pave another street or do another stormwater project. That's the way a responsible borough would be run.
I would like to just comment that I think a responsible borough, when they propose their budget, would put in the budget, you know what you were working with, that you would allot, you know, $7,500 for MAP, that was allotted. That you would allot for a summer program, $10,000. When you say we didn't put anything in the budget, if we decide to do it, my thought is you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. At least I don't run my budget like that. I can't imagine.
Your budget's not $8 million either.
That's what I mean, you can use some of that money on people's services. That's what we're asking you for. Fix our streets. We live in Munhall.
We put $2 million into infrastructure over the last 4 years. Prior to that was $450,000.
How much did you
That's not good, is it? Pardon me?
How much did you allot for the summer program this summer?
Not even for that, you worry about six people versus paving roads. $2,500. And also, council can put that program back together and spend the money. The question is, what are they going to take it away to spend the money? That's what a responsible borough does.
Okay. Jim Blunt. Name and address, give the back.
Good evening. Can I pass some things out?
Sure.
Okay. Here you go. New Kensington. We don't have a code to regulate the height of weeds. We do for grass, but not weeds. I have pictures also I'd like to hand out. I have weeds in my neighborhood that are over 6 foot tall. Some 7 foot tall. I don't think that's the way to attract new families here. Also, we have a problem, 206 East Eugene. People are parking on the sidewalk. That's a safety problem. And when they're not parking there, it's covered with mud. My last is just a question is East Eugene on schedule to be paved anytime soon?
We haven't made the schedule yet, but I already talked to him when I saw you right to speak. Believe me, I'm pushing for it, because I told him, especially the intersection where Hill Street meets
Right,
East Union,
exactly.
it's a disaster.
Yeah, it's the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Yeah,
Really bad.
it's bad. So, believe me, I will be an advocate for getting that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. That's not all I have. Rick has some more of those things from New Kensington. What it is I've worked in New Kensington for 16 years. It's not a garden spot. They have a regulation on weeds. You know? I don't care if somebody's weeds are this high, but when they're taller than me, that's ridiculous.
The parking on the sidewalk, do we have any ordinance?
No, it's a state law.
Oh, is it? Okay.
What I like is a sign. You know, it's right where Glassway, a little alley, enters East Eugene. If we could just put a sign here and tell people not to park there, I'll clean up the sidewalk. I'm gonna get my own wheelbarrow and shovel and clean it. That's it.
Yeah, that's a simple safety matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Sir,
Thank you.
if you see a vehicle parked there, feel free to call us.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
take care of it right away.
Great. You'll see the pictures. There's lots of cars parked there.
We bring lots of tickets every day for that
Okay.
issue.
Good enough. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Some people call,
What is it?
That's the problem with weeds.
There you go.
Same thing with Charlie Bass, with weeds.
here goes the thing with, Craig, if you want to add, weeds, you gotta remember that one time we were up on Broadway Avenue, and I told the guy, hey, cut your weeds by the side of your garage. And guys told me every single plant that he had, and they could, according to him, they were plants. To Joe and I, they were weeds. So, we do have an ordinance for grass, 12 inches, and for hedges in front of yards, they shouldn't be no higher than 4 feet high. But weeds, a lot of people have names for weeds.
Yeah,
Plants.
weeds.
I mean, you might say they're weeds, like Joe might look at you, hey, these are weeds, that's another document, he gave us the names to every single plant there was.
I'm sure they all have names.
They all have names,
They're still
so,
weeds.
well, to me, they were weeds, and then they were plants, so what do you do?
Okay. Dwayne, Judy, you give her your name after. Okay, go right in.
My name's Dwayne Schulte, and the reason why I'm here tonight is I am trying to find a home for an orphan World War I plaque. And I'll give you a little bit of history. This plaque, unknown to most people, was on the side of St. Mary's Church. It is 4 foot by 4 foot. It probably has between 300 and 400 World War I veterans' names on it. So most of your relatives are on this plaque. And I can't find a place to place this plaque to make it a part of our local history. I wanted to first place it at the train station at the waterfront. I went to the first COG meeting, they turned me down. I went to a second COG meeting, they gave me the okay. Then last August, the district attorney relinquished the ownership of the train station. Now it's owned by the COG. So then they objected to my placing it there because they said, what happens to the plaque if the building's sold or rented out? So I said, well, then we're going to have another problem because we have a Kelly Memorial down there. And Mayor Esper said, over my dead body, will that be moved? So now I still have this orphan plaque. She made a suggestion, wanted to go to the library. So I went to the library. Talked to the director. She wanted a plaque. She thought it would be a great idea. I thought that it would enhance historical studies, genealogical studies, ancestry studies for our students from the high school. They could actually bring a class to that plaque and discuss local history. Well, it went to the library board, and guess what? They said, we're not interested in that plaque because we're in the process of rehabbing the library. So they said to me, bring it back in 10 years. It's unreasonable. So then I called Kerry Kahn from the waterfront, who's the manager down there, and he showed interest, and then I called him back and didn't get a return phone call. And then I was gonna maybe place it at the Homestead Borough building, and one day I ran into Michael from Green's Funeral Home, and he says, well, I'm the caretaker for the Veterans site on Main Street, why don't you bring it there? So I visited that site a couple times, and I was out there this evening, and I thought that would be very appropriate. And I thought maybe we could move the memorial there, but today when I was there, that can't be moved. But you have like a little grassy area on the left side and a little grassy area on the right side, which is probably 8 or 10 foot long. And I thought, well, maybe we could put it on the left side. And Mayor Brennan had expressed interest that we develop a plaque or a committee for World War II veterans, and we have a World War II veteran right here that is in his 90s. So the thing is so I would be a volunteer and help Mayor Brennan with a World War II plaque. So I thought on the left side we could put this World War I plaque, have the World War I plaque that's already there in the middle, and they would complement one another, and then work on a committee and put a World War II plaque on the right side. And that would enhance the community historically. And I even contacted Senator Costa's office that I wanted maybe even the adjutant general from the Pennsylvania National Guard to come in and dedicate this. But I haven't gotten that far yet. And that is my dilemma. And I would hope you would consider the placement of that plaque out there on Main Street. And it's really not going to cost the borough anything. Maybe the borough engineer would have to go out and, design maybe the foundation or look at it. Because JoJo from Franjo Construction assigned a designer to me, and this person designed, the structure. The base is going to be 2 foot wide, 6 foot long. The main stone is probably 5 foot long to 4 to 5 foot high. It's going to be 1 foot wide, and he will donate his labor. He will donate the materials. And I have been on the Steel Valley Enterprise Zone Board of Directors for 30 years, and I've been trying to get some TIF money to actually get the plaque rehab. And TIF money has been used to rehab the plaque that went on the side of the West Homestead Borough building. But I keep getting turned down because they said, well, I don't have a place to place it. Now, Matthews International could rehab this plaque for about $6,000 now, but I got to know a fellow that worked there for 25 years. He has his own business, and he'll rehab it for half that money. So it would be a nice historical plaque, and probably nobody here has actually looked at that, but it's actually aesthetically pleasing in reference to art because the frame around these veterans' names, it actually undulates. And there's a huge American eagle on the top of that. And I would like to have that American eagle above the stone, but they said, well, somebody could come along and knock it off, so the stone's probably going to be another foot high. And that's the purpose of, I was hoping to get a home for this nice looking memorial.
Mr. President, if I could address that.
I was gonna, seriously, Kevin, Dwayne, I was gonna tell you, Kevin and Mark be the guys to take over this thing and help you out for Munhall.
Okay, sir, the other day, Becky had called me up
Right.
about this particular plaque, and I was pretty excited about hearing about this because it is a World War I members of the military, correct?
Right.
So, my question to you is it solely members of the church that it was on the side of the building? Or
I
would
can't
it
answer that because I've never done a historical study. There's
I
a-
can answer that.
Oh,
They are all members of St. Mary's Church. Well, I spoke with you about 6 months ago about
Probably.
this, and we
Yeah.
talked, and I suggested put it back on the church.
but how about if the church is sold, then we lose
Well,
control?
we can make an agreement. I'm on the board of the church of the Dragon's Den, which is a indoor ropes course.
But most people aren't gonna enjoy it on that church.
Why not? It's right, it'll be
How
right
many
on the
people
corner
walk-
where it always was.
How many people walk by that church?
Well, when this Dragon's Den opens, there'll be hundreds and hundreds of people coming there.
Why not?
Children and everybody else. And I spoke with the owners, and they agreed, and they will do it. We could give put it on a permanent loan. If the church is sold, you can get it back, or whoever really does own it. I've seen it many times. I have pictures of it on the church.
Right.
I know the people, a lot of the people on on that, but they were all homestead residents. This is prior to 1919. So, and I think that's the appropriate place. If not there, then I spoke with Carrie Can at the waterfront, and we could put it down there. We're working on putting a memorial right across the tracks there, and I think he already agreed that that'd be a great place. We could have a little veterans memorial in addition to the other memorial that's going to go there.
We're at the tracks.
No, past the tracks, and there's a grassy area before you turn into Crunch. There's a big triangular area there that we're trying to get the St. Joseph worker statue down there.
Okay.
For a Union memorial. So
Well,
I think those are, very, very good places.
Well, I want to put it at a place where somebody's going to enjoy it.
Well, those are the places, and you'll have kids at the church to go to see it, and you're talking about, you have an elementary school and Propel are within a block of that church.
Right, but at the library would have been an ideal situation because they get a minimum of 700 people there a day, let alone what they get there for concerts. So, I mean, I don't
They
think
turned
it's...
you down.
Well, let me tell you, put it on the side of the church. It was there for, 80, 90 years?
Yeah.
How many people knew about it? Probably 5%?
All those people died.
Well, if you put it back there, who's gonna know it's there? I'd like to put it in a place where people actually see it visibly, whether they're walking or in a
Oh,
vehicle.
gosh, right across from Frick Park. I mean, how many people use Frick Park? How many people walk up and down Amity Street from Voodoo, from any other place? There's a lot of,
Well, what I'm
I think
saying
that'd be the
is
ideal place.
that's not an ideal place because it may be vandalized. I
And
mean,
the other places will be safe for what reason?
Well, Main Street is safer than Frick Park. I'd rather walk down Main Street than walk through Frick Park.
It's not in Frick Park, it's on the church. It was there for 80 years, it was never vandalized. What gives you the...
Well, can I ask you a question?
What?
Why do you want it back on the church?
Because every one of those names on there were parishioners of St. Mary's Church.
Right. And do you know the person that bought the building?
Yes, I do.
And you have a personal interest in that?
Personal interest, yeah, because I know a lot of those families that are on that, including Mr. Campbell.
Right.
Bill's dad is on that.
Mhm. But I would like to put it in a better location where people would enjoy it, more so than on the side of the building.
Sir, after I found out about this, I did speak with Mark about it, and I did speak with Mayor Brennan about it, and I did today speak with Mike Serrano.
Right.
And we came up with, like, up on Main Street, I don't know if that would be, if we can do that. And I don't even know if there's any kind of rules, laws, or whatever it would take to actually put something like that in a already standing memorial. I would love, sir, for me, I would love to see that on Main Street. But before the council meeting tonight, Mayor Brennan and I, we were talking, what about Kennedy Park?
Well, that's over by the library.
Yes, sir.
I would rather have it at the library than Kennedy Park, even though they're close. Yeah, he even said, and other people told me it would get vandalized over there.
And the monument that's down there now has been vandalized numerous times. So, and I agree with you. Would I love to see it on Main Street? I would, and that's speaking for me.
Right.
I'm a veteran. I believe that it should, and we even talked about putting it up in the Homestead Cemetery. But again, our circle up there is a Civil War memorial. But nothing says that you couldn't put it on a granite slab right as you would pull into the cemetery.
Yeah.
I don't know, would anybody have a problem? I wouldn't have a problem. Would anybody have a problem with that?
I think more appropriate would be St. Mary's Cemetery.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's Cemetery.
Right across
Sure,
the
right
street.
across the street.
How many people go to St. Mary's Cemetery?
Well, you know what, when we have
I go there
Veterans
every
Day and
day.
Memorial Days, and there's people up there all the time.
Absolutely. Like I said, ideally, the library probably would be the choice.
I would love to see that in a place of reverence where people would go,
To contact the school district.
The train station would be ideal because people walk and drive through there every day. It would get the most visibility there.
and I'll tell you what, if you don't know about the memorial at Steel Valley High School, you know,
No, I know about the memorial.
but the thing of it is how many people even go back there?
Very
The only time that we go back there is when we have the Veterans Day ceremony.
That's why I like the idea of putting it on Main Street.
I agree with you.
Sir,
Can I ask a question? Who owns the plaque?
Father Dan Sweeney owned it, and he gave me control over it so we could continue.
So you have the control of the plaque?
I have the
From
plaque.
Father Dan Sweeney?
That's exactly right. The plaque is over at Michael's Bronze Restoration, waiting for an okay. Either the Lions Club said for me to write them a letter to get the money to rehab it, or get money from the TIF committee through the enterprise zone, and I keep getting turned down because we don't have a location. So the longer we wait, the more this is going to be expensive because it goes up every year. And I don't even know if JoJo from Franjo Construction has lost interest in it, because the design person that designed the structure for this has since left. But I have the design in my phone under an email. So, I mean, we keep coming up with these different suggestions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the argument spending all this time on what veterans deserve and we making it a big issue and a problem? Hell, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for what these men been through.
Absolutely.
You know, this is stupid.
Absolutely.
A war memorial deserves to be on Main Street. I had one built at the end of Braddock Avenue. The steel mill gave me the property, and the one at the end of Braddock heading towards the Westinghouse Bridge, I had that erected. You know, back in '90 when I first come to the Braddock area. And everybody welcomed it. Who do not want to
Okay. Well,
serve these folks that served us and made it possible for us
I
to
got one
sit
more
and act
thing.
like we do?
I got one more quick.
go ready.
For us to snub this is a disgrace.
You got that
That's
part
exactly
right.
right.
Put it on Main.
I mean, at the end of late 70s or early 80s, I'm at home, and I hear this fella yelling out in his sleep, a crotch, here they come, go to the right, go to the left, go to the right. That has affected me to this day.
Well, sir, I've listened to you, and I'm gonna try to do the best that I possibly can.
Well, thank you.
Kevin, you and Mark.
And Rick. And Rick. Mayor?
I'm with you.
Okay. And Mike Serrano.
Yeah, Kevin, you come back and make a recommendation to the council. You know, you and Mark will figure it out with the mayor, and they come back with us.
Sir, where'd it go? This isn't gonna happen tonight,
Oh, I don't
but I will
expect-
definitely be in touch with you.
I've been
All right,
working on
thank
this
you.
for about 3 or 4 years, President.
Okay, report to the borough official, mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to start out tonight. Thank you all for coming tonight. First, I'd like to ask Rich Vodadian, I'd like to formally invite you to be the guest speaker at our Memorial Day ceremonies this year. We have veterans every year come and speak, and I would be honored if you come, speak about being a veteran, and be the honored speaker to speak at the Memorial Day services.
I'm usually out of town with my family on Memorial Day weekend.
Consider it. You're my first choice.
That's it.
Secondly, I would like to start with maps. And I went over and I did speak with MAP's representative over there. What's his name?
Rick.
Richard McLean, that's correct. Very nice young man. He was more than happy to assist me in speaking and talking and trying to ask MAPS to join us for CPR classes, which I think will be a plus for the borough, and I think it's not a class to be a certificate for certificate. It's a class for people to learn how to possibly save someone's life. I don't care about the certificate. I care about someone being trained. So we worked out dates. We gave the dates to him. I've got it back in my hand. Tuesday, April 22nd, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. or Saturday, April 25th, 11 to 12:30 a.m. So those are possibly the two dates. We'll set them up, and
We're at there.
I think we do it right here in the Borough Building.
Over
I
there?
think we do it in the community room. I'm gonna finalize everything and go over that. I don't know if it's gonna be 1 or 2 days. We'll talk with Rich over there again and see. I would like to have it more than 1 day for now, because not everyone can meet on 1 day. And I would like to see if we can get a register, if they can call and register. We have an ad that we're gonna set up and put place. You can pass it around if you like. So, once we talk with them, we'll set it up and we'll get it done and we'll start advertising. Another question, another thing I'd like to ask council is, just in reading, there's questions about Westfield. There's no more dates available until June, I think it was said on the webpage. Is the calendar just filled?
No, we shut the field down for Chatham and for Still Valley exclusively. Because what would happen in the past is we would fill the field, and then Still Valley would call and say, we need that field, which they knew it up front, and then we'd call them and tell them that Still Valley's gonna be using that field at that time, so you can't use it. They got very frustrated, very unhappy that they scheduled the field in February, and we have to ask them that they to reschedule because it's Still Valley. And so we just shut it down until June.
So no one else, no more, we're not taking any applications or anything else?
At this time. Now,
Okay.
if the thing is if Still Valley doesn't make the playoffs, or they get out eliminated earlier and they're not playing in June, it'll be May.
Okay. Thank you. Just a few comments while our solicitor is here. Spring is coming. We've been vigilantly working the past year at the cemetery, the Homestead Cemetery. You can certainly see the progress that we're making. I'm going to be asking our council and local councils, Homestead, Munhall, West Homestead, to please help, maybe sending a crew, maybe once a week in early spring, to try and cut down things and keep things a little bit in tow until we have our people come in, our volunteers and whatnot come in and start. So I'm still looking at that. I haven't read the borough code yet on that, but I know that boroughs are allowed to help with cemeteries in their area and adjoining cemeteries in communities adjoining one another. I believe that's what I read. Another question was brought up to me is sewage bills. The sewage bills are going up and up and up, and they just keep increasing. I had a complaint from a resident, and I responded to the resident saying, we're not really in control of the sewage bills, but it's just a point. The costs just keep going. Now, this person said, my sewage bill is more than my water bill. So, I don't know if council has any way to look at that, but certainly I directed this person to go to the sewage authority meetings and see what's actually going on there. So that brings me to what Rini Fry was talking about. Or is she still here? No, she left. So I was a little bit confused from our last meeting because I thought our balance was $700 and some thousand. I specifically asked you that last meeting, and you told me we had $700,000, and I thought, well, how the hell are we going to pay these bills? Because they're over $700,000. So the $1,000,001 number surprised me tonight. And furthermore, I think, just as far as the finance committee goes, I think the finance committees are, and I have to agree, the people do want to know. And a lot of people don't come to the finance meetings, and I know that as well. But certainly, if residents are attending, these meetings are not just for councilmen to talk, and I'm repeating myself because I've told you this in the past, but they're for the public to come and sit and find out what's actually going on with our town. How much money we have, what our expenses are. That's a perfect opportunity for council to speak with our residents. Boy, I scared them all out of the room.
Evidently.
I'm also.
You did.
So, I certainly think finance meetings, when I was the finance manager, I started finance meetings because when I got onto council, there was no money. The money was gone. It was mismanaged, misspent, and gone. That was the reason why I started finance meetings, so that the checkbook could be there. If there was any questions, here's how much money we have. Here's where we're spending this money. Here's where this is going. So that there was no doubt in the public's mind that we were transparent. And that's what that meeting is, that's what I believe those meetings are for. More so than you can call Joe Verhola up and talk to him anytime. You don't get the opportunity to hear from your residents or speak to them. You're losing that there. I feel you're losing and missing an opportunity to talk to your residents. That's just my feeling. I'd also like to speak to the Borough Council about how this construction is going to go here with the Willis Center and how the money is going to be spent there. I question how we're going to get this $10 million bond. Are we going to receive a check for $10 million? Is it going to be $8 million? What's the amount going to be? I'm curious what that will be when we get it. Will it be portioned, $500,000, $500,000, will it be $3 million? You know, I don't know. So, do you know how we're going to get our first check when we do that?
Yes, we will get we'll get 2 checks. We'll get a check that will be sitting in U.S. Bank in the money market, and then we'll get another check into our general fund to reimburse us for previous costs, previous expenses.
So we're going to get 2 checks.
They'll do a wire transfer.
So we'll get 2 payment stubs.
Correct.
In however that means may be, because there is a little confusion here. No one seems to really know. How much will that be? Will it be for the whole amount, 10 million?
We'll see everything on Tuesday, but I think it's more like 6 million, isn't it? Yeah, I don't have the numbers on hand, but yeah, 800,000, whatever we need, our reimbursable amount will go in general fund, the rest will go to U.S. Bank. In the money market, for us to be, for U.S. Bank to spend as the expenses come for that building. No different, exact same thing is what the waterfront did when they built that infrastructure. U.S. Bank was the same paying agent.
So that U.S. Bank representative will have charge of the checking account, we'll call it. And he'll receive the bills? And bills will be sent out to him and he'll pay the bills that are spent?
I don't know exactly what the exact nuances are, but.
Or will you be the person that writes the checks and pays the bills?
I don't believe I am. I'm not.
You're not?
We don't write the checks. They come from U.S. Bank.
So there'll be a process of submitted of here's a payment.
Correct.
And then someone's going to inspect the progress of the building.
Right.
Other than someone who I would hope knows the process of building.
Correct. Somebody similar, just similar to the construction loan.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, well, that's great. And I suggest, council, that you form a committee to see this work done as well, so that it's just not one person. I think a council committee should be formed to oversee what's going on at the Willis Center, so that we, the mayor, and the public can be informed on what's going on there. I think it would be a smart move. I think it would be very transparent, and I think it would make sense to do that.
I believe that committee will be all 7 council and the mayor.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I don't know, no one's talked to me about it, so I'm just suggesting plans on how we're going to move forward to do that. So, I think it would make sense. That's great. If we're going to include everyone in it, that's very good. And then I'd like just to make a statement again about the bid process, the TKA. Over here, we're going to talk about considerations for a vote tonight. And Colin said that the architect's not done yet with all his specifications to put out for bid. So why would we vote on them tonight to put them out for bid when we haven't even seen them yet? I think it's jumping the gun a little bit.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Colin, but last May, TKA come in and did a presentation, our own presentation. Said this is where it's going to be. We met after the fact. You met with Pat. We all met with him. He said, okay, there's where these rooms are going to be. We look at everything. We have it. There was a book you have. You had, and you also.
I still have it.
And you still have, and you have the blueprints,
Right.
everything. That was completed. What he's doing now is taking our plans, those plans that we looked at and we saw and we agreed upon, he's taking those and he's going to put it into a bid process. Bid process means there's a doorway there. Well, what size are how the door's going to open? They open it in, open it out. What size hot water tank? What size air conditioning unit? What size heater they going to do? These are all the specs that he needs to give to the contractors for them to bid out the project properly.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, and it was my advice that prior, when we did the preliminary phase of this work, and when Mr. Cardella came in here and presented to us, it's my suggestion, at that point, the floor plans for the building should be locked. If you change floor, where rooms go at this juncture, that's major delays, major cost overruns. So what Felix is working on right now is HVAC duct routing, power, casework, cabinetry, interior finishes. It's not things that are gonna impact floor plans, and those have been locked for the last year.
He met with the Duquesne Light.
Can I interrupt you guys? I understand what he's saying, but I think you all miss something, because I was at the meeting with TKA was here, and he gave his presentation, and I asked him directly, I said, Felix, I don't like the idea of having the administrative offices in the basement of the new proposed borough building. And he said, I agree, I want to look at it. And we've not gone anything back from him on that yet. Maybe we missed my conversation, but I remember speaking to him, and he was here, and I asked him that. And our first question when we went through the walkthrough up there, Mr. Vodadine was asking Mr. Ingalls about where's the office going to be at? That was the first question we talked about up there. So, no, the floor plan wasn't decided upon. Maybe it was decided upon with you guys, but no one talked to me about the final floor plan of how it was going to be. And no one talked about it in open discussion anywhere. So, no, I disagree with what you guys are saying. You may have said that and may have planned this and maybe just heard what I said and just said, well, the heck with it, we're going to go on with this discussion. But that was not finalized as far as I was concerned. Am I wrong?
My intent was when Felix came in was to have that be a workshop. I mean, if another workshop is in order, I'm sure that's something that we could accommodate, but I would advise council that any major changes at this point are going to cost money.
Well, I certainly felt that we were going to have an overview of what he was going to do, other than what he brought up to us at whenever that date was, when he was here. I certainly thought we would have a finalization of where we're going to be with that. And I asked him that question. I'm sure if anyone was here, you remember me asking him that question. It wasn't like I said, really, we're going to go in, every person's going to go into our borough building, to go downstairs to come and see the borough manager, to come to our council meetings, do everything. So, I have to bring that point up.
Rick, if I might say something?
Sure.
I don't know, I guess Mark and I, we're supposed to be voting on something tonight that we have no idea of even what we're voting on. Because this stuff was done way before we were elected. And here it is, motion 1, to vote on, send out for bid. Has anybody, wait a minute, aside from you, Joe, has anybody on this council seen the proposal? Have you seen it?
Everybody.
Did you, everybody seen it?
Didn't we just talk at the work session about the last step? You asked about a last step, and you
I
asked
asked-
everybody if anybody had seen it.
No one's seen it.
Nobody's seen it.
Yeah, now
I
they all
haven't
have.
seen it.
It's on my desk, it's been on my desk, and I asked them when they did see it, they didn't understand what they did, but they did see it. And I'd like to bring up one point, and I know we have some new councilmen. We have a workshop. The workshop is to give information what we're gonna vote on. And if you need more information, listen, I'm asking you, we had this discussion, Kevin, please come to the office Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, and ask questions so we are prepared for this. Because I told you this before, I feel it's my job that you guys are informed as much as possible. Mark, we had the same conversation. These workshop meetings are to give you information that you need to get so you can make a good decision. You may be passionate about some things that you want to vote a certain way, you pick up the phone, you call the other councilman. For us to have, we might as well not have workshops. If we're not gonna look at anything and then come to the meetings and question why we're doing this.
I asked that at the workshop.
And I told you the same thing. We had a guy come in here, TKA. He came in here, he did a presentation.
That was 4 months ago.
I'm talking about last week I said it. When you said that, when are we gonna look at the prints? I told you, we had TKA come in here. You have a book. You just admitted you have the book.
I have the book. I asked him when he displayed it, I asked him the question. I said, Felix, we're having a basement borough building. Why can't we have offices, administrative offices upstairs on the ground level? He said, I'll consider that.
And you felt that May goes by, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January goes by, and you'll never ask the question to anybody else. You never talked to Pat, you never talked to Scott, you never looked at what you did, you never talked about any of that?
I've talked about it all the time.
Pat never brought it up to me.
Colin, when you talk about anything changes, now, what a big, like the top floor, second, I'm just asking a question.
At this junction, if you move rooms, you have to move everything associated with that room, all the casework, all the ductwork, all the electrical.
I'm just talking about it, say you took this floor and this floor, right? They're gonna be, you got the drawing, what they're gonna be,
Yeah.
okay? Well, don't put this floor up here now,
Right.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it would be a major change,
Really?
in my opinion. But you know what? What I would suggest, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, in just to give council and you know, the mayor, everyone some information, the public. The debating, I believe what's on the agenda tonight is for when the time's ready to give council or give us the authorization to advertise and start the bidding process. For a job this size, the bidding process is probably gonna take at least minimum a couple months. We need to advertise in the paper, there's gonna be pre-bid meetings, there's gonna be addendums, there's gonna be bid conferences, the contractor's gonna need time to you know, he's gonna have multiple subs on the job, you know, electrical, HVAC, you know, so on and so forth. So, you know, I believe what's on the agenda is to authorize us to, when the plans are ready, to move forward with the bidding process. Okay, number two, if it makes sense before starting the bidding process for council to have a final review, what I would suggest is put together any list of questions. We can bring them up, or comments, or, you know, whatever, you know, based on the floor plans that you guys have right now, because the floor plans have not changed significantly since last time Felix was in here. And get those comments, give Felix a little bit of time to digest that, and we can perhaps have him come back in for a final workshop to explain, address any comments, questions, why things cannot move, and just so everyone's satisfied. prior to bidding.
What, I mean, if you have the floor plans ready made, you said Philly's house,
Yeah,
what is the, I don't know that much about it, right? But just moving them 2 floors, they're both, you're at the plant, right? Just
swapping floors. I mean, the police, first of all, the basement is.
It's all police, that's the jail's at, the basement, all the way down.
Right,
The next floor up is gonna be at the police and administration,
yeah.
right?
So, yeah,
But if you walk in off the street, right,
right.
that's gonna be community room and all that.
I just,
I address the situation with Felix tomorrow. when you talk
I
about-
shouldn't speak on the
I'm talking
behalf
about
of
with you,
Felix.
Mayor. I think you can walk in off the street too, that's what I'm saying. But
but-
can you make it, if something happens downstairs, all the way down? Say there's a guy in the jail and he's going to try to hang himself, your
They
guy
can
sees
lock the
it up
elevator off.
there. Pardon me?
They can lock the elevator off.
You mean if we would be on the ground
Walking
level
floor.
floor?
Right.
Then we wouldn't recommend putting the jail cells in the basement if there's to be a floor between.
That was the whole
bet.
thing from
Not as
the
big.
main one.
Well, when we were done, I was gonna say, I know we met in, I believe it was late November. Does that sound right? It was myself, Captain Snyder, Felix from the architect, I don't know his last name. The mayor, Mr. Rondo was joined by the mayor, I believe Mr. Ingles, Mr. Petruzzi were there. We met right across the hall. And we went over everything that day. I know we made some changes to the cell block. There was a couple of issues that Felix brought up to us that we wanted to, it wasn't move them, but just turn them a little bit in their place. That was the last meeting I believe I had with Felix, to answer Joe's question. Like I said, myself, Captain Snyder, the mayor, Mr. Rondo, Mr. Petruzzi, and Mr. Engels.
And at the onset of this project, I mean, you provided them a lot of criteria that you needed, and there's been some dialogue going along to make
Yeah,
sure.
we've been back and forth quite a few times on what we,
So
what we think we need.
So he's not just shooting from the hip,
No, we've been very, very specific with them, with the police.
Yeah.
But we also call
Like
it
I said,
travel.
I think.
We have to call travel.
If you're asking me, should we be on the main floor and the subfloor be something else, and then the basement be the jail cells, my answer would be, that would be just a lawsuit waiting to happen, or a tragedy waiting to happen on our end.
Remember you told me to call.
I think if you would check with our insurance people, they would tell you.
We did. Remember you told me we had to.
And there's a lot of code issues that I'm not well versed in, and then there's the construction, there's electrical risers and HVAC risers, and there's the potential, when you start moving stuff around, all that stuff needs to be.
Now that he,
In other words, we're just guessing now.
We're just guessing, but
We're just guessing.
typically when there's changes at the end of the project, it causes
Well,
problems.
we're not at the end of the project.
I mean,
We're not even started yet.
the design.
So, I just don't think it's a good design to have our council chambers, our offices in the basement. I brought it up when Felix was here. I never got any feedback from him.
we're not in the basement. We just ain't in the top floor. We're in the next floor.
Okay,
Jail's in the basement.
whatever. That's why I was quite surprised, because I brought this up last week, and you guys said, well, we don't have to take this up for consideration next week, we can talk about it. So, I was surprised to see it first thing, item 1. Again, item 3 about ratifying the acceptance of the refuse truck, I spoke to this at the workshop. I feel that your roll call vote, your phone call vote was wrong. Mr. Solicitor, I don't know what your opinion is. I certainly would be glad to hear about it. But a roll call vote, I believe, is supposed to be done on emergencies, not for a financial institution, not for a financial remedy. And the roll call vote that they did on January, on New Year's Eve, I'm sorry, that's an emergency as well? I don't get that. I'd really like to hear a legal opinion on how we can justify paying for a garbage truck that we ordered 7 months ago, prior, that we never voted on, there was never a vote on council floor for it. You voted to get specifications on the truck, because you read it to me, what we voted on. We never voted on purchasing, we voted on getting specifications. So how does that become an emergency? I understand how it's an emergency because the truck appeared and we had to pay for it. I understand that. But that policy becomes, it becomes again and again a policy happening more often than not, just like TKA. We didn't talk about it, but we're just going to do it. So from my point of view, we're just ramming this down. This is what we're going to do. And that's what it is. There's not going to be any discussion about it. So I have an issue with that. And for that to be said, like you said, I don't accept that. I think that's taking the mayor out of the role of conversation. That's taking the public out of the role of conversation. No input, no talking about it. You guys said, oh, we went and looked at the garbage truck back there. We need a new one. No one else looked at it. No one else had privy to go look at it. We have 5 garbage trucks back there. I'm just saying. I'm just bringing it out because it's not right. I don't think it's right. So that's all I have to say. I'm pleased that we're going to do the CPR. I'm looking for some input from council on the cemetery. Mr. Vodadian, I'd like an answer from you. If you'd like to do it, you're more than welcome to come and speak at the Memorial Day. I need a yes or a no. It doesn't have to be today. Let me know this week. But you're certainly my #1 person I'm asking. And that's all I have to ask for. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll try to make this brief. We're still moving forward with the properties that we voted on to approve for sale. And what I do is because to make it clear for the buyers, and at Joe's suggestion, which is a good idea, I prepared some instructions so they understand what their role is. Once they come in and give us the remaining balance, and we give them the deed, then they're responsible to record the deed. But when you take a deed over to record it at the Department of Court Records in Allegheny County, they don't just accept it without any kind of verification. They look at the legal description and they see if it matches up with the county mapping and so forth before they'll take it. And if there's a problem, they'll reject it. And I knew that our buyers wouldn't have any idea what to do then. So what we decided was we'll prepare the descriptions, take the deeds over, we can get them pre-certified. And they put a stamp on it, which makes it guaranteed when these people go over and just pay the fee and the transfer tax, and so it'll be recorded. So it'll make it smoother transaction for the purchasers that we've agreed to sell these to. But we did run into a couple issues in that one of the properties, since we acquired it, there was a street built on it, Charles Street, that didn't exist. And obviously we're not selling Charles Street, but there's a smaller segment of it. So I worked with Joe and he talked to representatives of the county, and thankfully he got the map corrected to show what is being sold and has been sold and what the buyer expected, which obviously is not a public street. And so we're finalizing that deed. There's one other one that had an issue, so that's just an update, but we're moving closer to getting all that concluded. And then I have revisited with our actuary an assignment that kind of fell through the cracks a little bit, and that is that we have to amend and update our non-uniform pension plan. So I revisited and restarted communications with them. It's something that needs to be done periodically because the laws change, particularly like tax laws and so forth. So we have to make sure we're current with the IRS regulations, and also make sure that it includes any recent ordinances we've done since it was last updated, and it's current and compliant. So we're working towards that process. I'll keep you posted. And that's really all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
One of the worst things I gotta do every beginning of the year is a liquid fuels calculation worksheet, and it takes about 6 hours to do. You just gotta concentrate. helping Becky out quite a bit. However, that was completed on time, approved by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Industrial appraisal did the field study. In October, we voted for industrial appraisal to go appraise all of our buildings and all of our properties. They completed the field study, now they'll be moving forward with the finished product. I think Munhall Borough is again a model community again, 2020 Allegheny County Banner community. We're doing a refuse audit right now. We have a lot of, we don't pick up commercial garbage. It's the businesses' responsibility to hire whoever they want to pick up the garbage. So between Becky, Bob, myself, Dave, we all been working to try to find out who are we picking up commercial, how are they paying, do we need to adjust it, so forth and so on. I think somebody we talked about a few weeks back about a towing incident with a tower, with a resident. Actually, she did not, she was coming in to speak and she didn't. I just want everyone to know the towing incident's been resolved favorably with the towing company and the resident satisfied. And the last thing is I got an email this yesterday from the Still River COG. They want through the COG and all the communities, the Universal Construction Code, they want a Universal Commercial Code Appeals Board for all of us. We have one here, we don't have to use it a lot. When it's used is if somebody said the code isn't the way you're reading it, you're wrong, they can take it to the appeal board and we could, and this board will go through it. They comprise of registered electricians, registered plumbers, certified engineers, so forth and so on. We have one, we don't use it often. They want to know how many municipalities want to be part of this. McKeesport, Clarendon, and Duquesne all said that they do, probably because they do a lot more than any other of the boroughs would be. But that's something that we'll be discussing more to find out if we want to be one of those communities. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Engineer.
We already covered the Willis Center, but construction there, or demolition there is wrapped up, substantially complete. Some minor punch list stuff left to do. The only other thing that I have is in 2018, we applied for and received a grant for $50,000 from Allegheny County. It's a community development block grant. They allow you to apply for different infrastructure related things. We applied to replace catch basins. We're replacing 10. We had a bid opening yesterday. John D. Caruso was the low bidder. Basically $56,000, and so the local share of the project will end up being $6,000 to get 10 catch basins replaced. So pretty good deal.
And if you remember last year, we did get extra money once the program went in place.
Yeah.
An additional $10,000.
Yeah.
I have a question. When could we or should we start the planning for the paving targets for this year?
So,
I know it's only February.
I'll have to go back out, but Joe and Bob and I worked on kind of like a 5-year plan. Okay. Back, it was late last year. So I have some estimates. I have a lot of stuff put together on that already. And we also have half a paving project from 2019 still to finish, which the money's committed, but hasn't been spent yet. Right. So that should probably factor into what we do this year somewhat too. But there's a plan in place, and I think it's like 90% good. It's just some pieces need to be moved around.
I just didn't know when we needed to start getting on the calendar for these paving companies because
to me, March, like next month is a good time to like get an ad out, depending on what we want to do. Get people, get the work booked early in the year, get a good, better price, and hopefully get it done so they're not out here in November.
Okay.
You say that every year though, so.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a plan, and I'm sure Joe can share it with you.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have.
Public Works.
Putting the garbage truck in service on Tuesday. Seems to be all right, a couple of adjustments need to be made. And we have plenty of rock salt. That's all I have. A lot of rock salt in February.
Okay. Police Chief.
Mr. President, Police Department answered 567 calls for the month of January, 26 arrests, 203 citations issued. We just got notified about 2 weeks ago that they were replacing the waterfront cameras there. That's complete. That was done by the COG. We have 3 new cameras on the flyover bridge. I believe there's one on the pedestrian bridge in West, that divides Homestead and West Homestead, and then coverage of the ramps for the bridge and also the entrance and Amity. So we should have those cameras up and running probably within the next week. We're waiting for their IT guy to get everything done, so the cameras in place. Aside from that, I really have nothing else unless you have any questions.
You have them, Mayor, you mentioned them, license plate readers or something? Is that where, on 8th Avenue?
No, they're on the cars. We have.
On your car?
We have 2 vehicles that we paid for on asset forfeiture. We were supposed to get 2 budgeted for this year, but have a total of 4 cars. And I'm glad I may not talk about that quite a bit. We have, there's 4 cameras situated on the white bar of the police car. And every time when the unit is activated, it is reading every license plate that drives past.
How do they work? Pretty good?
They work, they're fantastic. They're angled, they're catching the cars in front of you, they're catching the cars that are driving past you. We have one that, as you're going through a parking lot, it could read every plate. So it's telling you if there's a bad plate, insurance cancellation, expired registration, stolen vehicle, missing person who's, say, Ed Fletch is listening to a missing person. His vehicle is spotted here. We'll know that Ed Fletch, may be around that vehicle. It's been very, very helpful to us.
Pat, is that information immediate? Is that?
It pops up right up on the screen. It takes a picture of the plate, it posts it, runs it instantly, and it gives you set the settings on there for high alert, medium alert, low alert. Like an insurance cancellation might be a medium alert.
So they're not out of sight by the time you
Right,
find out.
but if it's a stolen
Yeah, it'd be
vehicle,
kind of a
wanted
waste.
person, something like that, it's telling you right away. Like I said, it's got us probably, I don't know, since we've had it up and running since what, early December? Early December, it's probably resulted in probably an additional 25 drug arrests, probably an additional 15 illegal guns off the street. And we take a ton of guns off the street every year.
Just to speak on that for 1 second, the chief was not here at the last meeting. I did mention to them about how our officers are enthusiastically appreciating these plate readers. And I directed the chief to ask the officers for reports from the police officers. When I get these reports, I'm going to bring them to council and read them to you, so when we come and we ask for the other 2 cars to be done, you'll understand why we want them done. So I'm not going to go any further.
What it's doing, it's alerting us of illegal vehicles on the road, or wanted persons, or missing persons, or anything, or you can set the priority in whatever order you please. It has gotten us a lot more arrests. It has gotten us a lot of illegal vehicles, illegal drivers off the roads, wanted people. drug dealers.
Murders, attempted murders.
Yeah, people, wanted felons. It's been a godsend for us. It's been very, very good.
But you got that out forfeiture money, right, which costs
We paid-
the
It costs about $16,000 per unit. You know, the 4 cameras, all the vehicles, all the hardware.
It's already installed on the car.
Yes, and saying, like, if, I did this with the mayor, we put his plate into the system. And it showed me where he was at, or like what intersections. It links to all the cameras countywide that are on the system, either through the DA's office or Castle Shannon, which runs their own system, but they're together linked.
They picked me up in Etna, they picked me up all.
McKeesport, West Mifflin.
But you only have 2 vehicles with it on now.
Right.
We only have 2.
I mean, is it because of money wise?
Yeah, well, it's expensive, it's $16,000 a car.
Yeah, but you get a lot of forfeiture money.
We do. This is something that we, you know, it was a bonus for us to get these.
Okay, you're more or less, Mayor, Chief, you're gonna try to get these on all the vehicles?
Well, we'd like to have 4 vehicles set up with them. That would be ideal right now.
Typically, we don't have more than 4 or 5 vehicles on the road at one given time.
Right.
So.
So the other officers who don't have them are saying, hey, we want them too. Right? I want them too.
And 2 guys, one guy, when they reported their 3-1 shift, the one said, hey, are you taking 10 today? Or can I take, because I wouldn't mind doing the tree. He said, all right, I already plan on doing that, I got 10 today. So it's actually it's not keeping the guys, but making them want to go out and do a little more. It's I don't want to say it's a competition, but they enjoy doing it because A, it's taking bad guys off the street, and it's been very well, worked very, very well.
What's the distance on that'll pick it up?
What?
Wait, how far away?
It catches the vehicle, but if anyone who's been down 8th Avenue in the last 2 months, especially between the hours of 2:30 and 10:30, you may see a lot of police activity in our area of 837. We'll have a guy sit in the median, just sit there. And every vehicle that's going past it in both directions is popping up. You might see another guy 300 yards down the road, you get ready to pay that black Audi coming your way, that's a bad plate.
Also, Homestead sitting the other way, and they're
Right.
saying, hey, can you shoot these guys coming into Homestead so we can grab them too?
And Homestead's kind of like, they're participating with us.
Right.
You know, because the vehicles are coming and going right through their town as well. And you can't, you go fishing, how many fish you catch at once? One at a time.
And just.
So if you got a car here, a car here, and a car reading.
One fish at a time.
One fish at a time, you can't only reel in one at a
Pat,
time.
if we,
2 hooks on it.
if we purchased a new police car, can that be transferred to that?
It can,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And the company who did the install came from Jersey to install. There's not a lot of places around that do it. We went with the Castle Shannon. How they spec theirs on, we kind of mirrored that. We had a lieutenant from over there that runs their program come over, he walked us through it, he showed us everything, and it's been really, really good for us, like shooting fish in a barrel.
Just to make a comment on that, Council. I went to the Mayor's Association meeting, and they had Castle Shannon was there, and their captain presented a presentation there, and that's how I found out about it.
Yeah, their lieutenant, who came over and walked us through all this, gave a presentation at the mayor's meeting. The mayor came back, asked me about it, we got in touch with Castle Shannon.
He came and spoke with us.
Here we are.
Now West Mifflin's in our police station. What about these cameras? We want all that information too. So if they get the information, now we're linked with West Mifflin as well, so when they get something.
West Mifflin has a couple intersection cameras, not on their vehicles, that are at fixed intersections.
Right.
We're trying to work with the DA's office or some other entity to get a grant. There's not one on 837, the whole length of 837. We would like to have a stationary camera that reads cameras, either at the flyover ramp or 8th and Ravine, 8th and Whitaker Way, somewhere like that. I mean, there's 40,000 cars a day that use 837. 837 links a lot of, it's a big corridor for drugs. It truly is. I mean, it links anywhere from Hazelwood to
Claire.
Keysport and everything in between. There's a lot of dope that runs in between there. And these cameras are helping us to get into vehicles that are carrying felons.
Are the stationary cameras also the same price?
No, well, I think they're slightly cheaper.
Maybe if.
And like I said, it links to, and it, not only that, like, there's an ambulance that went out yesterday. I guarantee you that plate, as soon as they enter that plate in the plate system, any order that catches that plate. So it's, that's how, there was a case 2 weeks ago, they caught someone, they tracked them with cameras, with traffic cameras or reader cameras.
And they can even track the make and color of vehicles, not even a plate, they solve crimes with a Ford blue pickup truck with certain cap, will pick them up like it's unbelievable.
You can enter in there without a plate, or even a partial plate, you can enter into the system, be on the lookout for a blue Chevy with a Nike symbol on the back windshield. It will search for every vehicle that goes through one, that goes through one of those cameras. And it's unbelievable. It's been a very great asset.
Just to mention, I spoke to the police officers and I said, guys, you know, we're not after grandma with her license plate expired. You know, this is not the purpose of that. This is the purpose of getting hardened criminals, taking people that just don't care, that have no license, no registration, no insurance, they're driving for, you know, no license plate, no driver's license. This is for criminals. It's not to get, you know, Aunt Sally for not getting her license
We're not using it for a revenue stream. And I assured the mayor, I said, we have 203 citations issued. Probably 150 of the 203 is from those readers. But for every citation that was issued, there was probably 2 warnings issued. So it is, you know, so the 203 may represent 400 vehicles stopped. A lot of them were just, okay, hey, go get your stickers straightened out or whatever.
And we've seen the ticketing increase, because we even talked with our local magistrate, and he said, our numbers are down, we're really not getting a lot of tickets. Our numbers were down there for.
I met with them on Monday, that's not the case anymore.
You bring a revenue.
That's not, like I said, it's not a revenue generator. I mean, it may turn out to be that, but that's not the purpose of it.
Right. Keep your 3 minutes up. Fire chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, I presented my 2019 report to you. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to explain anything. If there's any typos or anything in it, don't worry. Jason will call me. Just, I wanted to highlight a couple things. Last year was one of our busiest years. We responded to 522 incidents. And there were a couple in there that I didn't necessarily categorize as calls. So 2016, I believe, we had 522 incidents as well. So we tied that. So we're extremely busy. Man hours were down this year because we're learning how to work smarter. Right now we have a fire right now. We put in roughly about 18 or 19,000 man hours, and I have it broke down for you. In the report. And I went back and did the man hour comparison. I went back all the way to 14. So you can see, they don't need me, it's okay. You can see where we were progressing for 2014, where we've ended up as far as manpower. And I think one of the interesting things, and I did a 3-year on one of the back pages, it's on response times. And you can see our response times. And I just went back to 2017. I thought that was relevant. I didn't want to go back, I'd like to be married. Our average response time for the last 3 years is about 6.5 minutes from the time we're dispatched to the time we get on site. That is among the best in Allegheny County. So, as far as the report for January, I included that, and you should have had that in your council. We had 39 responses in January. We put in a little under 1,200 man hours. So, I think if you guys read that report, take the time to review it, call me with any questions that you have. You all know how to get a hold of me. I'll be happy to answer. And with your permission, I'm going home and going to get under the covers because I feel terrible. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I did have one question, because you know I read these. I'll be quick. So, in your monthly report, who mentioned about the siren number 4, and either the siren needs to be fixed or some lights to alert people that the truck might go. In your yearly report, it looked like you were leaning to, well, your verbiage was.
Well, there were a couple.
The sirens.
To explain that, the siren at number 4 doesn't work, it's not working properly, and it hasn't for about a year. So I decided to sit on it instead of repairing it, just to see and kind of track their manpower, because they prove pretty good and they're pretty responsive. We get alerted to our phones, but being on Main Street, it's a little tough, because I see the guys when they're pulling in the stations with the blue lights on, red lights or whatever, and then the truck pulls out, and it's a big shock and surprise when you come out with the fire truck. And none of the people in the area know that we've had an incident. So much as people don't like the fire sirens, I think I'm advocating that we do repair it. And I just want to drop down the siren timer to about 25 or 30 seconds, rather than it ringing all the time. I think that's just in thinking about it, I think that station, I think we do need the siren up there, but just a quick ring up and down is all we really need, let the people know.
The dogs in the neighborhood will appreciate it.
Hey, listen, I lived near that siren for years, and I never heard it one time. But, are there any other questions?
I have one question for you, and this applies to the chief and Mr. Vicey and everyone here. The defibrillators that we have in our town, are they working? Do we have them? I know there's one in the building here. There used to be one on Main Street. I don't know if there's still one up there.
It was on the bank. It was on Citizens Bank. But I don't know anything about that. That was the Main Street Businessmen's Association that put those out. It's a nice idea until you realize that there's some liability that comes with those things because somebody has to maintain them. What if you put that out there and you go to use it and it doesn't work? So I spoke to that when they went out. So somebody has to maintain them. It's not going to be the fire department. I can tell you that right now, council. We're not going to do it because we're not trained or certified. We're not taking on that responsibility. So somebody would have to do that for the borough. If you wanted to obtain those,
are they in the fire truck?
We have them in all the fire trucks, and they're maintained by the fire departments in the fire trucks for their own purpose for those reasons.
We have them in our police cars.
We have them in our police cars. Officer Abbott handles all the maintenance on those. He's a prior paramedic in a previous life.
And we have one in the borough building as you walk in. Are there any else anywhere in any other public buildings?
Isn't there one on your building, number 4?
Yeah, there was one on the building up there, but I can't remember whether it's still there. I know that
Yes.
there was one up there too, but I know the batteries went bad. Those pads have to get changed out. You can't just put one of those in and not change out the pads. Have like a lifespan, 10 years or something like that.
3 years.
Batteries.
The 3 years, they were all replaced in the last couple years.
So, I just wanted to bring that up because I think it needs to be talked about where they're at, if there's any. Do we need to put any anywhere else? Maybe down to the field, maybe, through the years you can move them. I don't know. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, code enforcement officer.
Mr. President, you have a copy of my report. Are there any questions?
Yeah, man.
I have a question on Charlie Batch. He's digging out there now. What's going on there?
He's starting to build.
He is. He has a building permit and he's ready to go.
Are they gonna close the alleys?
Yes, they want to notify that people's there, but myself, I CC.
We talked about that
CC.
yesterday. We was talking about closing that alley for a number of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with that. If it's a couple of hours here and there, I don't see a problem with that. Closing that for a few weeks.
Why don't you just tell them to close it for the working hours?
Don't they have to get a permit for that?
I would think we would have to give them some kind of street closing permit.
Absolutely, it's a public street.
It's an alley. It's an alley.
It's a public street.
Yeah, Ed was concerned with the being able to get to the houses in the back. I took Glenn Coles over today, he's okay with it. Bizarro doesn't.
Coles don't live there.
Well, yeah, but they could get, they have access to that.
But to get our garbage trucks through there, to get our fire apparatus through there.
If you find out what he's gonna close, if he's gonna close the entire alley off, you have to have.
Bizarro's, I'll talk to the contractor,
You find out and get it.
It's actually common practice with contractors, especially in the city of Pittsburgh, they close down blocks at a time.
But they pay.
They pay them.
Yeah.
We do not have a street closing permit that we charge the people that have I know myself, like, on my street, we have block parties, we close the whole thing down. But it's a little hose, or a little horse.
Well, that's for a number of hours.
Yes, for a number of hours, but we don't charge anybody, so we've never charged
That's
anyone.
a whole different animal when you're talking
Never
about
get
closing
this
public
fucking
road.
detour somewhere else to go
Right.
on that road.
Yeah,
You
well, well, they have access to, West Street. I mean, so, I mean, it's something we can consider in the future, that, you know, tree closing
can't.
permits
You
and
get
all that.
together with him in the morning and talk to Pat.
I think he should go through you, Chief.
Oh, he's gonna-
Dave and I have spoken, and that, you know, we're gonna have to talk to them and see what their intentions are, what they, how minimal they can make it. Like I told Dave when he approached me, I said, we can't just close that indefinitely, I'll leave it up to them. You know, if they need to close it for an hour a day, a couple hours here and there, whatever.
It's not up to them.
Right, that's what I meant. We can't
It's
leave
up
it
to
up to
the
them.
police
I mean,
and
they'll close it
the
off,
borough
leave it off.
administration, and if council wants to get involved, it's up to council.
Right, it's a public safety
Yeah,
issue. We
right,
can't just say,
absolutely.
okay, you do what you want. So Dave and I had spoken about it yesterday.
Yes,
Yesterday.
or Monday, or Tuesday, maybe. Tuesday,
Earlier
Monday.
this
Whether
week.
Monday, there'll be
It
a
was
Monday.
Tuesday, it was Tuesday.
We'll check on it
We'll
again before
figure
they
out what
close
they
it.
need
Yeah.
and we'll advise it accordingly.
I mean, they're, I'll tell you, they're real, contractors there, so they know what, you know, what they can and what they shouldn't do, so. We'll check.
They know that they're not just gonna get carte blanche to do what they want.
Right.
They know
I mean,
that, I'm sure.
if they need to put a crane there for a few hours to, but like, they don't need to stockpile or just close it.
I don't think they have the room to stockpile.
Okay,
If you need my outline.
all right. Done, Bill?
Are there any other questions?
I don't know. Public comments on the item for consideration. Public comments. Michael, you ready to jump up?
Yes.
Can you come up here, please, Michael? Thank you. Name and address for Becky, please.
Motion one, I had a question when I saw it because I hadn't seen anything further and I didn't know, some of my questions have been answered, but some more have come up. Granted, I'll give you usually a 90-day for a turnaround. If you don't even have finalized drawings, I can understand you want to do this when you do it, but we don't have the bond money yet, even though we're supposed to get it this month. I mean, it's kind of like, have the money in the bank before we start putting something out for bid, or give the authorization of TKA to put it out for bid. Heaven forbid, something happens, the bond issue doesn't come through for a computer glitch or something, and TKA is already putting this out for bid.
And you know what happens? You know, when the bid comes out there, we don't do the project.
Yeah, you, and Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, we always have the right to reject all the bids, right?
Well, absolutely, and the other thing, and I talked to Colin about this when I saw the motions, that when he finalizes these bid specs, Colin has to review them and approve them from his engineering perspective. I gotta see them legally, make sure legally we're protected. And this motion, as I understand, maybe a little awkwardly worded, but the idea is, once they're approved by the professionals, Colin, myself, our insurance guy, then he can advertise them for bid. But to award the bid has to be done publicly by a vote. So if there's no money to pay for it, for some crazy reason, which I can't imagine what would happen, but you wouldn't award it. Right, there's always an option to reject all bids.
And if the best bid then decides, you know what, they've already played with me, I don't want to take the time to do the work, and I'll just do it the next time. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm too used to dealing with other contractors, but to delay it a month or 2 months to be approved, like you're saying, yes, he's meeting all the requirements, but are you having 4 HVAC units or you got 5 HVAC units on the roof because of how many renters you're going to have? Do you have, are you just meeting code with your emergency generators, or are you going further? I mean, I would think the council itself would want to see what they're doing. According to code, at least that I'm used to, all they have to do for emergencies is, you've got an emergency generator that powers emergency lights. So none of your computers work after 30 minutes.
I can speak to that because I've spoke with Felix extensively about this. Because it's housing a police department, it has to be spec'd out differently. It has to, with role as an emergency center. And the foundation has to be reinforced.
Right.
You know, the generator has to be
The
meet so
international,
many specifications. It's not just like how you're building, you know, any old building. It's because there's a police department in the building, everything has to be up a notch.
The International Building Code considers a municipal building that houses a police station an essential facility. So it's an occupancy category 1. So that ticks all these boxes. So if there's a tornado or a tsunami or earthquake that, you know, hits Munhall, this thing has to be able to function. So
Your IPC code does not match NEC code, it does not match OSHA codes. I mean, what are you going to follow? And I don't care, it's your decision.
State 2015
International Building Code, which everyone has to follow.
That's state
And
of
that's the
Pennsylvania.
lowest standard out there.
That's what the state of Pennsylvania requires.
Your state of Pennsylvania, well, never mind. I'm not gonna bother.
Mike, real quick. We hired an architect, a professional architect to do what he does every day to move this project forward.
Yes.
We have an engineer, correct?
You have a structural engineer, correct?
We have an engineering company that we hired. He comes to these meetings, however, we have a company that services the borough. I don't know if there's anybody on council that can say, listen, I don't think you need 4 air conditioning units on the roof. We need 5. Or, that's overkill, we need 2. So, I don't understand what your point is.
Well, your building is designed for renters. Are the citizens of this borough going to pay utilities?
No.
Okay, so from my remembrance of the original design, you have the one company that may rent the top floor.
Right.
Then the next floor down, he had 2 open spaces.
Right.
So you may rent 2 spaces, you may rent 1 space.
Correct.
Then you have the center space. So your HVAC, all your utilities have to be designed. Are they going to be designed for 3 spaces on that floor? Or are they going to be designed for 2 spaces plus what we have? He never got far enough into the design to show that end of things.
I can assure you that when we had these meetings with him, we explained this in detail, correct? We told him exactly how we wanted. When we met with Duquesne Light, the gas company, we met with Comcast, the water company, we had all this, we told him exactly what we were doing. And he's going to take that in consideration of what we told him to have how many meters we need in the building, so forth and so on. It concerns me that you feel council is going to make that decision. If you don't like what they did, they're going to be able to make that change. I know I couldn't do it. I couldn't tell them, hey, you have 4, you asked for 4, we need 5. I don't think, or I don't like where the cables run in there, you don't need to do this with the wiring. That's why we hired the architect to move forward with this project, and that's exactly what he's doing at this point.
I think there's a little bit, just maybe there's a little bit of a misunderstanding too. You know, we're not going to advertise it tomorrow, obviously. You know, the plans aren't done. They just, you know, I believe we wanted to get this on the agenda so if the time comes and it's in between meetings or whatever, that they have the flexibility to advertise it. The solicitor said, you know, we're still going to review, we still need to figure exactly how this thing's going to be, you know, bid out. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Well, and that's why, I mean, to me, it seems like you're rushing this. It's only going to be another 30 days till your next meeting.
Fair enough.
You know, unfortunately, I'm too used to, I was the guy in between the engineer and the lawyer and contracting and the contractors and the guys working on the site. I mean, basically the project manager. So I've seen too many of the mistakes that we made, especially in planning.
that end up costing $100,000.
Down the road.
Yeah, or $100,000 down the road, or if you're putting, if the plan shows to put tile on the floor, do you know how long it's gonna last? A lot of things that, yeah, it looks nice, it looks pretty, but it doesn't always work.
Service life.
Yeah, I mean, am I paying for it up front? You know, if I put a floor down and I wax it in the proper amount of time, I'm paying for the wax every year instead of having to replace the floor every other year. But I just, that's something you guys don't have to worry about. But I still think if you don't have the money in the bank, you shouldn't put it out there. But thank you.
Hey, I got a question on some of these motions. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm looking at motion 7 and motion 8. So if we look at motion 7, where we are going to vote tonight to pay the bills for $775,000 some odd dollars. And then number 8, we're gonna make a motion to pay the payroll for $277,000 and some odd dollars. Now, when we started this meeting, right now we have $1,121,265.08 in there. According to my calculations, and maybe I'm wrong, after we pay the bills and after we pay the salaries, we have $68,168.12.
That includes it. That includes this money coming out.
This money coming out
Yeah,
of,
It's already out.
it's already out of the account.
okay, all right. Okay, then I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong, that was a good question.
What money's already out of the account?
This money. Payroll.
So I was not aware that it was actually early pay.
That's a good question.
No, you know what, I'm thinking, for a borough to run on $68,000,
Yeah.
so there again, when was this money paid out? And again, do we right now have, after the $1,053,096.96, we still have
Yes.
$1,121,000? Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Go to podium, name, address.
Scott Stevens, 111 Carolina. Pat, are you gonna have a
Agenda.
housing facility
Agenda item.
on it, first agenda, authorized teacher instruction? Are you gonna have a facility to house prisoners at the new Willis Center?
Yes.
Has anybody ever approached like the magistrate as renting one of the top spaces there? Would that be useful or helpful?
I don't know.
Is that a possibility?
I don't know, you have to talk to the magistrate. I know that the magistrate is in the.
Yeah, down.
They signed a 10-year lease.
Yeah,
He's a
okay.
10-year lease. When his lease, I believe his lease is open next year.
Yes, that is an option.
Yeah.
There's a real.
Joe's contacted a number of people that,
I just thought, because, I was familiar with business logic, and you know my background in that law, the business logic from the county level, okay? And I was kind of thinking how that, that business logic.
I know our
can be
business
applied.
manager's already approached, I already had that conversation with possibly our magistrate. I don't know what his particular conversation was, so you'd have to speak to that. Yes, there will be a lockup facility in the building.
But that would be great, because then.
I don't know that that's a great idea,
But,
having a court there and all these criminals waiting to go out there. Have you ever been down on 8th Avenue? And watched- Yeah, well, I don't know that we want that right at our municipal building.
Right, yeah, that was.
no, it could be one side.
Take a ride down past,
The only thing is like night court.
You want that in front of your borough building?
Yeah, well, it was just a suggestion, not,
Anybody else? Okay, what I'd like to do is, let's, call it, I'd like to take number 1 off till next month, till we see the final things, okay?
Sounds good.
Do we need will we need a vote?
No, you have the right to take it off. Just remove it. If council wants to still vote on it, they can make a motion to do it. If they're in agreement, they won't make any motion. So just remove item 1. You want to wait for the final plans from the architect?
Yes, sir.
All right, yes.
And I'll talk to Joe and Felix offline, but it sounds like maybe a workshop outside of this council meeting might be appropriate so everyone could get one last look at it.
Okay, can you do that?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take number 1 off back. All right. Okay, now, go.
Motion to approve. I'm sorry, motion to appoint someone to the zoning board committee. And the
Yeah, someone on council needs to put a name in there, so that's why she didn't.
Well, there's 2 names that was put in for it. You choose the names.
Motion to appoint Melissa Chestnut or Maureen Fry to the zoning board.
And Maureen, right?
Or.
Roll call vote.
I got a procedural question for you. What kind of a motion is that, the motion to appoint one person or another person? That doesn't make sense.
We don't need one.
How would you like to do it?
Only one position.
How would you like to do it?
I can't afford the social security hit. My name's Paul Surratt, I'm on Green Street. That doesn't make sense, the motion you just made. I want to make a motion to appoint 2 different people to the zoning board.
No, one person. One.
Right, but
That's what you do. Just like you vote for a
I understand
you only
that.
pick
I
one.
understand that, but what was said and what I heard was you're making a motion to appoint this person or this person.
That's correct. Good.
That doesn't make sense, it's illogical.
There's only one seat.
What do you
You
want?
have to
Paul, why
pick
don't you
your
make
name.
a motion to appoint this person and then make another motion to appoint this other
Because
person?
we can't.
There's only one open.
I understand that.
Evidently, you
You're just
don't.
not making sense here.
Are we gonna take a roll call
I'm
vote?
not making sense.
Yeah.
Are we gonna take a roll call
Then how
vote?
about
this? You're not seeing the logic
Maureen.
We're taking them,
Okay.
Okay, this is a legal way to do it. If they want to do it this way, each person will pick a name. Whoever has the majority votes will be appointed. That's an appropriate way to do it. It's the same as making nominations. Seen it
I disagree.
hundreds of times. I've been doing this for 34 years. Go ahead, call it.
Councilman
disagree.
Fallon.
Read 5.
Councilman Ondo.
Maureen Fry.
Councilman Truzzi.
Chestnut.
Councilman Stein.
Melissa Chestnut.
Vice President voted in.
Melissa Chestnut.
President Eagles.
Cheslow.
Okay. And his vote is 4-2. Melissa Chestnut is the new person on the zoning board. Sorry, I had to finish writing that. Motion to ratify acceptance of early delivery of refuse truck and process payment pursuant to original motion in May of 2019 to order the truck and to confirm the payment schedule of $44,178.55 annually.
Motion by Mr. Bonadilla, second by Mr. Petrucci. All in favor? No?
I have a problem with that.
You can't, do you weren't in. Yeah.
I wasn't here either, yeah. And you know, we're not supposed to abstain, but, so, yeah,
Kevin, if I can correct you, you voted.
I did, but the whole thing of it is I was to understand what we were, it wasn't, I mean, Joe, the truck was here.
Right,
What other choice did we have? The truck was here other than to send it back.
that's correct.
So, to ratify acceptance of this early delivery, unbeknownst to me, I did not know that the truck was here. I voted to go ahead with it. So, no, I'm going to abstain from this because,
Okay.
If I
You
can
abstain?
respectfully, never mind.
Okay. Mark, you're abstaining too, right? Okay. Rich? 4.
Yeah.
Okay, that's four yeas and 2 abstains. Go ahead, Brad.
Motion to recommend award to Steel River's called for CDBG fiscal year 45 catch basin project.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Petrucci. Second by Mr. Stein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead,
Motion to authorize Joe Varhola, Bob Bicey, and Councilman Petrucci to evaluate summer help candidates.
Motion.
Motion.
Question on the.
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
Motion by Mr. Votos Diaz. Need a second.
Second before his question.
Okay, second by Mr. Stein. Question on the motion.
would I be permitted to participate in this when you do interview these, candidates?
Right now, we have these three guys are gonna do it. Okay, you probably could come down, yeah.
That's up to you, Mr. President. You're essentially appointing a committee to do this and make evaluations.
I see no reason why you can't.
You can sit in.
Cool.
Yeah.
You can sit in.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Beck.
Need a vote.
You want a roll call for what?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna vote.
You gotta vote.
All in favor, you say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve the January 15, 2020 meeting minutes.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Petrucci.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fowler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead, Beck.
Motion to pay bills for the period January 15 through February 18, 2020, summarized as follows: $775,339.24.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Stein.
Second.
Second by Mr. Petrucci. Gotta pay the bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to approve payroll for the period of January 9th and January 23rd, 2020, totaling $277,757.72.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Stein.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rondo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, other additional matters? This is supposedly for us. This is supposedly for us, Carol.
Okay, sorry.
Can I just say something?
Sure, go right ahead.
Do I have to get up there?
Yeah, I'd like you to.
Okay.
Say your name.
It won't be short. I don't know if any of you gentlemen have ever had pasture in the back of a MAPS truck. Anybody ever been in the ambulance here? I've been pasture many times. Last year in June, I called for MAPS to come get me to take me to the hospital. They were busy, so Baldwin came. No problem with Baldwin, they took me to the hospital. 2 weeks after I got home, I got a bill from Baldwin for the balance of I owed because my hospitalization paid apart. Since I've been a MAPS subscriber for thousands of years, Baldwin ripped up the bill. June 4th, 2001, my dog suffered an unknown medical condition. And back then we had a call down here for the ambulance. So I called the operator who put me through to Mon Valley to Munhall. Once I got that corrected, MAPS showed up within 2 minutes. Got my dog to the hospital. Everything was taken care of. We got home from the hospital 2 days later. We came down to thank the drivers for coming to get her, taking us to her. Once again, I was a subscriber, no bill. You can't put the price of your child's health on money or getting an ambulance. In conclusion, MAPS is here to save lives, as are the firemen, our chief of police, and the other gentleman here, which I appreciate greatly. My theory is if you can find money to fix that turkey in the hill up here, you can certainly find the money to give MAPS, which they greatly deserve. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn. By Mr. Fowler, need a second. By Mr. Petrucci, all in favor?